In today's video, my brother Toby and I visit Dead Horse Point State Park to photograph the vast canyonlands of Utah. I also want to take a look at why these truly vast and wide landscapes can be the hardest to capture their true spirit and what makes them so beautiful. My name is Kemper. For the past 14 years, I have been honing my photography craft in the mountains of Colorado and the American West. Join myself and my brother Toby as we explore, photograph, and enjoy the art of the natural world through landscape photography.
Glamour.
I've kind of got my composition here, and it's very much kind of a layered, compressed, classical telephoto composition, but what I'm hoping for is that the sun, which is coming out as we speak, we can literally start to see it, is going to start like filling in the canyons and hitting different features, hopefully giving me like a variety of different potential shots. We're already seeing the light hitting one formation over there. Often my first strategy at a location like this is to break out my telephoto lens. And almost all of the images that I've taken here are taken at least a telephoto focal length, if not with a telephoto lens, because I find that finding the slices and the compositions often in the distance are how I truly try to capture what is inspiring me about a location like this. In this first photograph, I'm really capturing the pre-dawn ethereal light, the deep purples, blues, and reds with the yellow glow of the sky. I think it starts to capture how big you have the closer rocks in the foreground, the middle, and then the far. Even though this is a compressed telephoto, you kind of have three distances and you really feel all those distances. You even have a kind of a fourth, like distant mountains in the back. I think that was kind of my first strategy of the day, is to try to get that compressed look at the landscape and capture the texture and the color of what I was seeing. What I'm kind of hoping for, well, I guess we'll see, is I'm hoping that this big formation right there on that outcropping gets hit with the light soon. And the Colorado River is right down there. So as the dawn kind of progressed, we got a little bit more light on the foreground here, and I feel like it just adds that next level of dynamic where you have the close-up butte getting just a kiss of sunshine. And oftentimes, these are some of my favorite moments where you get just that little tiny bit of light, that first light that hits some of the features. You know, like in a few minutes, of course, this whole location is going to be kind of flooded with light. But that first kiss of light is some of my favorite, and it just adds such a great detail and contrast and dynamic to the scene. I don't know why I'm taking so many frames. Changing that fast.
The nervous photographer tick.
Yep.
This is such a cool, like, little walkway here. And just the whole time you are just right on this edge. This would be a very unfortunate time to drop my camera. Such a stunning spot. You've just got this incredible vista. It's almost like a second Grand Canyon view, which you'd expect from it. It's just crazy how much you can see from here.
So once the sun had fully gotten over the horizon, I decided I wanted to focus on this other butte to try to capture a decent detail shot of this butte. The sun is diffused. I think there's like really light cloud cover And that's very interesting. It's always interesting to me when that happens, because like the light hitting the right side of this formation over here, it should be direct light. And it is, but it's a little diffused, which in this particular situation isn't exactly what I want. I want more like direct, creating more like contrast. It's actually reducing the contrast of the whole scene. Very interesting.
This is another example of like using a telephoto lens for compressed scenes in a landscape like this. You have the butte, it's like a tower almost, right up with the light hitting it. And then you have the distant, rocky hills behind it. And we really were having a lot of atmosphere this morning. The temperature was causing a lot of moisture to be in the air from the Colorado River. And so, that just makes the background like it looks faded in comparison. There's not a lot of transition. This isn't my favorite image from the day, but I do like this formation. I wish that the light had, hit it maybe a little bit stronger. I could have had a more contrasty situation. So like I said, not my favorite image from the day, but I do like it.
There's a lot of moisture in there. It's not that cold, but you can see my breath, which means that you can see like the amount of atmospheric, there's just a lot of water in the air, literal.
Yeah, I didn't think humidity and Utah would go together.
But the river's right down there, which I think is contributing to that. Colorado River. Absolute legend.
This image is probably my favorite from this first spot that we stopped at for this sunrise. I like that you can kind of see the river snaking through and how these vast canyons were carved by the Colorado River. I think it's so easy to kind of get lost in the rock that you forget to really look at what made these vast canyons, which was, the river and water. It's the understated component that was so crucial to the creation of these landscapes. And, the river, you can't really see it, but I think you get a good feeling for it in this image.
I'm going to actually tear down my tripod situation.
Do you want to go for a stroll?
Yeah.
You should get a 400 millimeter shot of that tree up there. It's a cool looking tree.
There you go.
I got it.
Just for you.
Just for me.
I think what's really difficult or tricky about photographing locations like Dead Horse Point and Canyonlands in general is that trying to capture the wholeness of how vast these places are is really hard. You can pull out your wide angle lens and capture, the iconic view from Dead Horse Point, which granted is a beautiful shot, and I've taken it before. But I also feel like it looks like a picture of a vast canyon for sure, but I don't think it captures all of the components of what makes a place like this so special. The rock, the river, the light, the texture, and how big it is. And when I approached shooting this location this time, my focus was on looking at the individual components and doing my best to capture what I was seeing and how it was contributing to the overall landscape. Finally, I could get a decent image of the river itself carving through these canyons, through this landscape. This is very close to, if you've seen images of Dead Horse Point before, this is very close to that spot. It's actually just kind of zoomed in. But in this image, what I really liked and wanted to emphasize was the reflection of the cliff walls in the river below. And I really like that it adds that kind of glittery, smooth component. Like it smooths out. Like you can tell that it's water. So you have rock, you have water, and light. And that's, what this landscape is really all about. This is a wider shot of the whole scene with the river, and I included the cliff in the foreground because I felt like it actually led into the scene. It added this, like, it is almost a contrast element to the river. So you have the smoothness of the river, and then you have the roughness and the texture of the rock kind of pushing and pulling into it. So you have these lines that kind of are working together, but are very different. So I really liked it. And then, of course, you have the light kind of hitting that ridge line and emphasizing that. So I really like this image. I think I like this wider angle of that same scene, maybe even a little bit better.
And here you can really get a feeling again for the drop off right here. But look at this view. Stunning.
So it's funny, from that little overlook spot, I actually returned to my original composition, or as close as I could from that spot. And it's interesting, I had moved probably, 500-600 yards away from where I took the original image, but this actual viewpoint hadn't changed that much. It was far enough in the distance. And I finally got the light filling in the valleys like I was originally looking for in the morning. And it lacks some of the deeper purples and reds of the pre-dawn, but I love the contrasting light dancing over all of these different ridge lines. And you just feel like the canyons kind of go off into infinity, which is truly what Canyonlands feels like, is that the canyons just go forever.
It's amazing how much the Colorado River just like curves and then curves around and like whips around this thing. It's almost like a mini horseshoe bend right there.
Yeah, it does.
I did want to include in this video an example of the wide shot at Dead Horse Point being done right. Recently, my wife and I were on vacation in Taos, New Mexico, and we toured a gallery, and this gallery featured works by a local Taos photographer by the name of Dane Spangler. And this image was on display, and I feel like it is almost as good as you can do for this viewpoint. And obviously that's due in part to the once in a lifetime conditions. Like having a circular rainbow like that is truly once in a lifetime. He actually told me that this image it only stopped raining for just a few minutes, giving him a chance to get this rainbow before it started raining again. And that's another lesson right there that we could go into, of just like wait for the one little break in the weather to get the shot. But I do feel like this image does such a great job of having the sky and the rock and the river all combine into a singular image where you really get the feeling of what it's like to be at this location.
So we drove just a little ways down the road and saw a really cool view. So we are gonna go off the trail here and go see if we can capture a really cool image of the butte. You can see it right there. Looks really small on camera, but I swear it looks closer in person. no wall here.
Nope.
No wall here telling you went too far. Check out this location. Here, I think we'll be able to see kind of the cliff right here. Wow, look down there. Whew. The ways down.
You'd stop.
You'd probably stop on that landing right there, maybe.
Maybe.
We can hope.
Now let's actually see, because you have the Colorado River down there. This may be a very nice shot.
So this image actually wound up being, I think, my favorite of the entire day, and it was the last I actually captured. And I think what I like so much about it is that it juxtaposes the two things that you really are experiencing in this location, which are these huge cliffs. So I actually, standing on one cliff, was able to take a picture of another cliff. But then in the background, you have the river telling the story of how this place was made. You have the river in the background, but you have this huge, rugged, red-colored cliff in the foreground, which is it's just so awe-inspiring, standing on top of this cliff, staring down into the actual abyss of this canyon. And I feel like this image kind of brings those together. I love that the slightly fade in the background, it just adds even more contrast. You have the sharp ruggedness of the rock in the foreground, and then it kind of fades, and then there's the river sitting in the background. And once you see it, you see it. The Colorado River is so important to the Southwest and, so much of the United States, and it has so many stories to tell in both this spot, the Grand Canyon, and so many other places along the way. So yeah, this is my favorite from the day. Thank you so much for watching this video. This video is one in a 4-part series from a recent trip to Utah. So this is video 2. We visited some of the more well-known locations in these first 2 videos, but we're going to be going to some interesting new places in the next few videos, and I'm really excited about that. So if you liked it, definitely hit the like button. And if you are interested in those videos and many more like it, hit the subscribe. And with that, we'll see you on the next adventure.